Welcome back to Bill's cooking channel. I thought I'd do something fun because it seems like sometimes when I do like dessert, sweet kind of things, I get a good response. Sometimes like, trying to lose weight, why are you trying to make me fat? So, this is something really cool. It's a blueberry crumb cake. Blueberries are in season, so I just thought this would be really cool to do. And then just a couple steps to this, so we kind of have to get everything together. So first of all, I want to make the crumb topping because that can be basically done ahead of time. So in here I've got my 6 tablespoons of butter. Alright, I'm going to add to it half a cup of flour, half a cup of sugar, and I got a teaspoon of cinnamon, and I've got a little pinch or quarter or eighth of a teaspoon of salt, if you want to be more accurate. And this is just what's going to be on top. So I've had the butter out so it'd be kind of room temperature, and now what I want to do, just make sure it's soft enough. See, it's pretty mushy, so I did a good job, but it's not melted. Alright, so I'm going to take all this stuff, dry, dump it in there. I'm just going to work it with a fork. I'm used to, like, I don't know if you ever made pie crust before, but you kind of cut it with a fork till you get kind of the right ball size. And of course we want to get all the cinnamon mixed in. I like that word. One of the things I've learned recently from experience is I buy stuff and it sits in my pantry a little too long. So please date everything in your pantry. You know, cinnamon that's 3 years old is not going to taste right. I'm just going to tell you that straight up. So you see, we've got this mixture. Looks beautiful. Still see some pockets I want to get mixed in here. Just kind of drag your fork around. And this is just making your dry. If I had toast, I'd be smearing this on toast right now. Remember as a kid, you know, that was like the treat. Just have a little shaker with a cinnamon and sugar in it, butter the toast, throw it in. That's how you get kids to wake up in the morning and get to school. I run to school after a couple slices of that. Of course, some being bread already. I think that's all the store sold. Okay, so I got my crumb topping already, so I'm going to set that aside. Now, I want to tell you something. This is old school and it works really well. I got my 13 by 9 pan, and I just took some butter, smeared it in here. Now, because you know, when you're handling it, it gets really soft, put it in the refrigerator. Now, I don't know if you have old stuff, new stuff, or whatever, but I don't like putting things directly from the fridge to the oven if I'm not sure if it's the right kind of Pyrex. This is Pyrex, but it's newer Pyrex. But it's okay because it's room temperature now. And I'm not putting anything hot in it, so the butter's going to stay. So we got that right here. So now, I have my batter mixture. So, let's start with the fact I have stuff everywhere, right? This is my dry ingredients. I just want to show you how we're just going to kind of stir it gently with a fork. What it is it's 2 cups of flour. I got a tablespoon of baking powder. I got a teaspoon of cinnamon. I've got a little half a teaspoon of salt. And I have a teaspoon of cardamom. So, what is cardamom? Well, I learned this a long time ago from one of the bakers I worked with. And cardamom it's very sweet, but it is so good. It even says in here, it has a very enticing aroma. It's delicious in cakes and pastries and Indian and Middle Eastern spice blends. Didn't know that part of it, but I've always used it. I like it when you have something about with blueberries. I always like to make it that way. So, I don't want to make a big mess, so I'm just going to mix this around. I just want to make sure I got that baking powder nice and mixed. Everything's looking pretty good. Alright, just enough to change the color. And it's kind of cool because when you have something like cinnamon or the cardamom in here, it's showing you mixed everything together because it's really the baking powder you want to get mixed together. Alright, now I can set this aside like everything else I've got going here, right? So, in here, I got my five tablespoons of butter. And I just want to get this a little creamed up here. So I just wanted to get that mixed. Now I'm going to add my 3/4 cup of sugar. So I wanted to stop and pause for a second and talk about dry and wet measurements. Dry measurements, you need dry measuring cup. And basically, you're always going to have little gaps around the corner, and if you're not sure, if you really want to be careful, I actually used to have a bench scraper I use for this, and I can't find it. I lost it like 5 years ago. Just take a knife, but instead of going straight across, because then you're going to leave holes on one side, just kind of work around, go in circles, whatever. But a proper measuring cup should be, you shouldn't have a handle in the way. When you're doing liquid measurements, you're obviously looking for the meniscus, so it's totally different. All right. This is like science 101. So I got 3/4 cup of sugar in here. I'm going to cream this real good. Perfect. Just like when you make whenever you're starting any kind of batter, got to get that butter and egg thing happening. That's the most important. All right, so now I'm going to add 1 egg. See how talented I am. Whoops. And I need a teaspoon of vanilla. I love vanilla. Of course, I like almond extract too. So probably would have figured out how to put that in here too. All right, so on a teaspoon. If you get a little too much, you're not going to kill anybody, except for your wallet, because it's expensive. Just want to mix this together real quick. Everything is mixing really well together, so it's really not until I'm going to get the dry ingredients in here that I'm going to be worried about scraping down the sides. So I'm going to drop my bowl down. Let's get these dry ingredients in here. And I'm just going to kind of gradually do it, so 2 or 3 steps. you know what happens when you first turn on the blender. You can make a real mess. So let's see. So if you ever wondered, usually by turning the bowl, you can get everything, last little bit out that's hanging out. I just wanted to get this to start incorporating, and then we're going to really start mixing it. Get all those flavors. Oh, you can't hear me. I turn it off so you can hear me. So now what I need to do is I'm going to get this sucker going real easy, gently, and I'm going to pour in. I got 3/4 cup of half and half. Now, all I gotta do is get it nice and mixed into a batter. Now I'm going to take my scraper, my paddle scraper. Just going to get some of this off from here. So I can make sure it gets mixed in. Other than that, the batter looks really good. I think it's a really good consistency here. The reason we want this consistency to be a little heavy is because we're mixing in a lot of liquid from the blueberries. Oops. Tastes good. Oh, I'm going to die from the raw egg, sorry. Don't try this at home. Alright, let's see what happens. Good. Now I do move this out of my way. Completely out of my way. Whew. Get the beater all nice. trying to figure out how I can get this shipped to your house, right? Spoiler alert, if you don't drink milk, so you don't keep milk in your refrigerator, half and half isn't that much different than whole milk. You can usually substitute half and half, just equal amounts, and half's good in the fridge for like 2 months. So I do that quite a bit because I don't drink milk. But for recipe calls for milk, I would tell you milk. Sometimes I'm using half and half. I think that's about as much as I'm going to get off from here. Alright. Need something a little sturdier. I got my big spatula, it's a little sturdier. And I learned something from a very famous person, chef, named Elton Brown. And he told me, actually he didn't tell me, but is when you're measuring things, always think about what you're trying to accomplish. So I needed, let's say, roughly 2 cups of blueberries. Well, it depends. If you took blueberries and mashed them down, is that what you're looking for? Well, I don't want to mash them because I want them to be whole, right? Well, the blueberries this year were really big. So what do? Remember what your grandmother always told you, a pint's a pound the world round. So if you need a pint or 2 cups of blueberries, tear on your scale, your measuring cup, and pour it in until you hit a pound. And actually it came out to be about 3.5 cups. Big difference. If I put 2 cups in, I really don't think this would have been as great. But these are huge blueberries. Picked them out especially because I thought this would be more fun. Stay right in there. Stir them up without mushing them. I don't want to put them through the mixer. Alright. Now this is going to be kind of fun. I know what the end result's going to be, but getting there is always a trick. Not always, sometimes. Drooling yet? Oops. Get to the last drop. Oops. Choose this one. Just kind of poke it around. I would sit here and try and drop the pan to kind of spread it out, but it's kind of thick consistency, so I'm not sure that would really work. But a little quick work with a spatula, and it's working just fine. Just fine. Because I know when these blueberries start to cook, they're going to put out a lot of moisture. Looking good. Okay. Just need to fill in some little pockets here. What a darn mess. Glad I don't have to wash dishes. Whoops. Just kidding, I do. Alright, that's good. So my oven is at 350. Made a complete utter mess of everything, which is fine. Tastes great. Love that carton, really, honestly. So now I need a little crumb topping, right? There's no real easy way of doing this, other than you kind of, oops, didn't do that. Hold on. Just kind of get a little and toss it on there. So this is going to go in a 350 for about 45 minutes. Once again, all this stuff's going to kind of smooth out in the oven. Alright, so I'm going to wash my hands. 350, 45 minutes, and we'll see you back then. Alright, hot out of the oven. Does that not look beautiful, or does that look beautiful? Let me tell you, I'm going to invent that smell of video thing, because this is really great. Okay, I don't want to get talking too much, but it's nice and hot. Last step, which everyone does, is we're just going to sprinkle a little sugar on the top while it's nice and hot. So it's just going to kind of crystallize and stick into the stuff. Really only need a little bit. Oops, I spilled a little right there. And this is plenty sweet, trust me, so you really don't need to kill it. But I can already see that the sugar that I have. Alright. So once again, this is like, you know, cooking with love. I mean, the flavor, the smell. You know, this is a great crumb cake. I love the blueberries. They were huge. You know, it just, I can't say enough great things about it. You know, it's pretty fail-safe. Just be, you know, fairly careful about measuring your ingredients. Don't think you can really mess it up too bad. Biggest thing is, and the hardest thing is, now we gotta let it sit and rest. Because if you try to cut into it, it would be a mess. So this is one of those things where you gotta let it cool enough where you can touch the pan. That's you know, if you can touch the pan, you're good to go. I had a question and why this is sitting here, and I got another minute. I'm going to throw back at you. So, gloves. Why don't we wear gloves at home, but you wear them when you do food prep in a restaurant? Well, my question I'm throwing back to you is, you've been in all those places, mostly like fast food places, and they don't know whether they should have their gloves on or off. They're touching your money, they're touching your food. So are gloves really better? I have a few friends that in the business, and they will tell you, I would certainly rather watch somebody wash their hands and be careful than to wear gloves. Gloves are a false sense of security. That's my opinion, and certainly tell me I'm wrong. And I understand you're dealing with a bunch of teenagers. Well, okay, they're not really, well, yeah, they're whatever, almost adults. It's pretty hard to regulate, but I want one person to answer me. I mean, as many as you want can answer me, at least one person. Would you rather see someone wash their hands or put gloves on? That's my question for the day. Other than that, like I always say, I hope you subscribe. I hope somebody comments. I hope somebody tries this, and certainly ring the notification bell so you get more of my recipes. This is just a really cool thing to throw together. You know, this is great breakfast food. I like, you know, I never seem to have time for breakfast, and those are like some of my favorite foods. Nothing like a good omelet, nothing like a good quiche, nothing, and you know, some of these transition. But I'm telling you, this is going to be dessert. And my birthday is coming up, so I think this is going to be my pre-birthday dessert, because I just think, and like I said, you know, I go to the produce stand. What's in season? That's the best way to pick out what you're going to make. Have a few recipes in mind. You know, nothing worse than you're planning on making something and you need some red onions, and you go there's no red onions, or there's no garlic. Garlic's been a little tough lately. So it's like, what do you do? Alright, go on to plan B. That's all you can do. It's not worth driving around town when gas is $5 a gallon to find what you need, unless it's a necessity. Then do what you got to do. But anyway, so all I'm saying is this kind of stuff that, you know, if you want to teach someone how to cook, get them interested in cooking, this is the kind of thing, and everyone would eat this. Nobody would eat this. And so, once again, just have fun, and I will see you next time with an even better recipe. See you later.